Welcome back to another edition of the Magic Latest Podcast, the podcast where we discuss everything Orlando Magic basketball. I'm your host, Jalon Dixon, and today we got a couple of things to get into coming off the Orlando Magic's narrow loss to the Houston Rockets in their first game of their four-game home stretch since coming back from the West Coast trip. But before we get into that, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that post notification bell so you always know we're dropping new videos. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers and trying to become one of the biggest Orlando Magic podcasts here on the YouTube platform. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. And let's talk about this game starting from the Houston Rockets side. I have to give the winners their just due, and this had a lot to do with Kevin Durant. 40 points, 14 of 28 from the field, 10 of 10 from the free throw line, and actually could have hooped even better. Shot 2 of 10 from beyond the arc, had 26 of his 40 points in the second half. Paired with him, Reed Shepard knocked down 5 of his 7 threes and had 20 points. Alperen Sengun, solid night, but not necessarily his best. 8 of 15 from the field, 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. I think that the Orlando Magic, as far as covering Alperen Sengun was concerned and keeping Amen Thompson at bay, I think the Orlando Magic defense did a very great job of being able to handle those two. The issue was that Kevin Durant is just too dang good at basketball. And I know that's like an oversimplification of where this game went. But as far as I'm concerned, if we had to stack up the stats here, this was a game that the Orlando Magic, quite frankly, had in the bag. At one point, the Orlando Magic were up by, I believe, 19 points with less than 4 minutes left. And there was a real chance for the Orlando Magic to go ahead and close this thing out. And the takeover ability of, again, Reed Shepard, who hit all 5 of his three-pointers in the second half, and the play from Kevin Durant specifically in the second half, it really changed things. But if you really think about it, let's read some of the stats that indicate why the Orlando Magic should have won this. Well, first off, they won the rebounding battle 52-47. They won on the offensive glass 15-10 and turned that into 30-second chance points to the Houston Rockets, mere 7. They only turned the ball over 12 times. They stole the ball 11 times. And there was an even split on points off turnovers of 20 points scored per each team. Like, this was a game where, as far as I'm concerned, outside of shot making in the second half by Kevin Durant and Reed Shepard, the Orlando Magic, quite frankly, had this game. This is going to be one of those games that they wish they had back. And don't get me wrong, I think there might have been a little bit of happy feet due to the fact that, you know, you're coming off of 3-1 on this road trip. Everybody's feeling really good. We're big up in Paolo Banchero's defense. Desmond Bane is still playing up to a high level, and you just kind of wondering to yourself, like, okay, is this the time where the Orlando Magic are going to go on a run? And maybe they started drinking their own Kool-Aid a little bit to the point that they got themselves in a bit of a jam against a team that, quite frankly, just kind of outperformed them in the clutch. Something that the Orlando Magic, if you listened to last episode, we talked about, that was the thing that was getting them over the hump over those 3 victories. Well, technically the 2 victories, because of course there was the blowout win over the Sacramento Kings. But in the 3 close games, the one game you lose off a big time Jalen Green shot, and the other 2 games you win are in crunch time as well. That's the difference. That's the quote unquote game of inches aspect for the Orlando Magic. And it's a dangerous way to win and lose basketball games because it's constantly going to be that game of runs aspect that leaves you where a couple possessions here and there are the difference in a basketball game versus this is a game that, like, quite frankly, going into the fourth quarter, they had firm control over. This is 2 very elite level defensive teams, 2 teams that do struggle offensively. I believe the Orlando Magic are ranked 18th in offense and the Houston Rockets are 21st. So not 2 like elite level offenses despite the personnel, but defensively 2 of the better teams in the NBA. And it showed in this one. Both teams did not score their season averages in the matchup. And I think that it just came down to, like, these are the things where, Kevin Durant once upon a time earlier this season complained about, like, dang, I guess I got to drop 30 in order for us to win every night. Yeah, KD, I guess so. On the Orlando Magic front, to kind of go a little bit deeper on them and focus a little bit more on them, I want to start with Desmond Bane, who, of course, for the Orlando Magic was the player of the game here. 37 minutes, 30 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 12 of 19 from the field, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. Some other big-time contributors, Javon Carter had 14 points off the bench with 4 made threes. Feel like he's been a little bit of a shot chucker, not going to lie. He had that one game where he only took 1 shot, but outside of that, feels like he's been trying to get them things up. I'm not mad at it because I love the fact that he's head hunting that 3-point shot. That's something that I felt like Tyus Jones did not do enough of. I did not feel like Tyus Jones was aggressive enough as a scorer, and almost felt like he was so caught up in being a setup man that he really wasn't nearly as effective as I think he could have been for this team. He almost was trying to be too much of the perfect point guard and not enough of what the Orlando Magic desperately needed off the bench, which was a score. And for a lineup that had Jalen Suggs injured, Jet Howard, who did not get too many touches, Mo Wagner, Jonathan Isaac, and then Javon Carter. Like, if there's anybody that's getting them shots up, like, I guess it's not bad that it's Javon, because he's at least hitting the three at a pretty decent rate as far as I'm concerned while he's wearing the Orlando Magic pinstripe. So I guess if somebody has to take the three ball off the bench, Javon Carter's probably the guy, especially with the fact that Jalen Suggs is dealing with this injury right now. Paolo Banchero, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 of 16 from the field, 7 of 10 from the free throw line. Fell back to earth a little bit. I think, the defensive responsibility, having to guard Kevin Durant, it'll take some out of you. It'll take some out of you. Nobody called Paolo Banchero an all-NBA caliber defender just because of the fact that he has had a couple of good games against the Luka Doncic's, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard's of the world. Like, nobody's calling Paolo Banchero an all-NBA defender. He just has above average defensive upside, something that a lot of people think on a night-to-night basis, because of his lack of effort sometimes, he comes off like he can't be that caliber of guy, but he definitely can. And I think this was just one of those games where your last three matchups are Kawhi Leonard, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and then and as far as games, Kawhi Leonard, Luka Doncic plus LeBron James, and then Kevin Durant. I mean, we're talking about four of the most prolific scorers in the game in essentially 3 straight games back-to-back. I'm not back-to-back-to-back. I'm not surprised that Paolo Banchero struggled a little bit more to find his offense in this game, and I'm not surprised that it took someone like Desmond Bane to have to really lean in and make the most in order to help this team even remotely be competitive in the game. Because, again, I mentioned beforehand, the Houston Rockets have a very effective defense, and with a point-of-attack defender like Amen Thompson, you worry coming into a game like this, like, how much is Desmond Bane going to struggle with having Amen put the straps on? And Desmond had himself a game. It was actually Anthony Black who struggled the most. 3 of 12 from the field, 8 points. We'll talk about him actually a little bit later on. But Desmond Bane, I think personally, this game encapsulated what his entire February has been, which is, in my personal opinion, a player of the month caliber month. Like, I think that Desmond Bane has arguably been the best player in the month of February, and it's been kind of like the best gift-kept secret, because while the Orlando Magic have had Paolo Banchero under the gun, Franz Wagner injured, Jalen Suggs dealing with injury, right? Jamal Mosley's job constantly in conversation. Here's Desmond Bane just showing up every single night and absolutely balling his head out. Like, he's absolutely been playing out of his mind. This is kind of stemmed from even before the trade deadline, but it's really built up in the month of February, where I think he's been the most effective he's been all year. He's got his 3-point percentage back up to 38%, and something that stood out to me, and I was noticing this when I was looking at the stats for today's game, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. His last couple of games, 8 3-point attempts, 6 3-point attempts, 9 3-point attempts, had 11 3-point attempts against the Milwaukee Bucks. That's the kind of Desmond Bane that I want to see. The 6 3-point attempts against the Clippers, that's all right. The 5 3-point attempts against the Sacramento Kings, like in a game where like they were blowing them out, like that's all right. But I want to see Desmond Bane in that 7, 8, 9, 10 plus 3-point attempts mode. Like, I want to see him in a version of what he told us he wanted to be coming into the season, which is a guy that is taking 8 plus 3-point attempts per game. And I think not only is he most dangerous when he can be that level of floor spacer, but I think also he quite frankly acts as the thing that the team brought him in to be, which is that knockdown 3-point shooter that just also so happens to have a little bit of on-ball juice as a playmaker, where when you don't have a Franz, when you have a hobbled Jalen Suggs, when you have Anthony Black shooting the ball relatively streaky over the last couple of weeks, you can still rely on Desmond Bane to be a constant, and that's what he's been. I think Desmond Bane has a very strong campaign for Player of the Month for February. Is that a big deal in the grand scheme of things? No, but this Orlando Magic team also kind of needs any little bit of, positive PR that they can get as a team that, has had so many fluxes up and down. And I think that I think that Desmond Bane has definitely been arguably the best player in the month of February. Before we continue with the podcast, let's go ahead and shout out to our sponsors, Mars Men. I've told you guys on the podcast before, sometimes your boy just needs a little pick-me-up. I have 3 cats, a wife, another job I write on the side, and I have another podcast on top of this covering the NBA every single day. And I record these podcasts at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And so your boy just sometimes needs some energy. And at that type of time, it's not really the safest to be, pouring a cup of coffee. So I lean on something like Mars Men to help me get that consistent dose of energy throughout the day that keeps me afloat all the way from the beginning of the day to the end where I'm sitting here on the mic yelling about the Orlando Magic. The Mars Men supports healthy testosterone levels, energy, and stamina. Uses 8 natural and clinically dosed ingredients. Is made in the USA and third-party tested. 90-day money back is guaranteed, so there's no risk at all. Worst case, you don't absolutely love it and you get your money back, but over 91% of users report higher energy levels. Thousands of guys are feeling incredible results. Just check out the reviews on the website to see for yourself. And with that being said, for a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year or pick up your New Year's resolution in the month of March. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Magic Latest sent you. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to Anthony Black, who I'm only going to touch on very briefly because I try my best to be both an optimist and somebody who tries to focus more on trends than picking out singular occurrences here and there. One thing I will say has been a bit of a trend for this Orlando Magic team is the inconsistencies of Anthony Black over the last course of the season. While Desmond Bane has had a very steady, very strong month of February, Anthony Black has not been nearly the player that he was to start off the year compared to where he's been in the month of February. In the month of February alone, he has only had 3 games of 20 or more. In January, he had 6 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 6 games of 20 plus points. In the month of February, he's only had 2 of them. And also is coming off of back-to-back 8-point performances against both the Houston Rockets and the LA Clippers. But it goes a little bit further than that. Let's talk about the efficiencies. 3 of 12 against Houston, 4 of 13 against the Lakers, 4 of 9 against the Clippers, 4 of 12 against Phoenix Suns. A little bit better against the Sacramento Kings, 8 of 13. It's like specifically over the last 5 games, Anthony Black is trending in the wrong direction. He had a 20-point game against Sacramento in a blowout win, but other than that, these last 5 games have not been very promising. Specifically from the 3-point line, Anthony Black is, over the last 4 games, Anthony Black is 3 of 17 from beyond the arc in the last 4 games. If you want to add the Sacramento Kings game, since that was the start of the 4-game West Coast trip, that would make it where he's shooting 7. That would be 7 of 23 from beyond the arc over the last 5 games. Something that was becoming slowly but surely becoming a real strength for Anthony Black is starting to wane a little bit. And you worry that now with his increased usage now that we're so much further into the season, his increased usage with Jalen Suggs being out, with Franz Wagner missing time, you just wonder if it's starting to finally affect those legs a little bit. It's just something I want to keep an eye on. I don't want to go too deep into it or over speculate, but it's just something I want to keep an eye on because, quite frankly, Anthony Black's going to be important for the rest of the season. Not just in terms of the fact that, like, we don't know what the status of Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs is moving forward in terms of their ability to be on the floor consistently. But also, like, Anthony Black is going to be a big part of if this Orlando Magic team wants to make the playoffs, wants to get out of the first round, wants to be any version of a threat to make a run through the postseason. Like, Anthony Black has to be more of the version we saw in November and December than the version that we're seeing in the latter portion of January into what has been a pretty, off-kilter February for him. So that's just something to keep an eye on. Again, the streaky shooting to me is just something I'm keeping tabs on, something to keep on you guys' minds as Orlando Magic fans. But quite frankly, I'm not going to oversell it right now. I just think it's something that I want to, again, kind of just monitor for the time being while trying to figure out what this team can be moving forward. Last but not least, I'm going to end on some unfortunate news, but I think something that is just very important as far as like enlightening Orlando Magic fans about the rest of the season. And that's about Franz Wagner. And that's personally, he showed after the Lakers win, he showed a little bit of frustration about the idea of not being able to be on the floor and being disappointed with the way things have gone as far as his ankle soreness throughout this season. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like to psychoanalyze people, but if you read into the comments he presented, they don't necessarily give off signs that he's going to be coming back anytime soon. When asked about the injury, he says, "It's very frustrating. Obviously, I want to be out there and help the team. Disappointing how it's been going with the process. Everything is now about getting healthy and making sure when I come back, I'm healthy." Just makes me feel like he's definitely not healthy right now. And with no real timetable and an evaluation still about a week and some change away, it feels like the idea of Franz Wagner coming back anytime soon is still on the table, but kind of has to be tabled for the moment. I think it's one of those things where, like, I'm going to be honest. My expectation, Franz may play the last 5 to 8 games of the season. Maybe the last 10. But I think they're going to hold Franz Wagner out as long as humanly possible and pray their way to hopefully being able to still finish as a top 6, at least maybe finish within the playoffs as a 7 or 8 seed, and then bring him back just in time down the stretch to secure where their seeding is, or, position themselves to be able to get, that victory in the first round of the play-in tournament. And then hopefully with him being fully regained healthy, that by that point, hopefully he can be very effective in the postseason. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, I don't like the idea of psychoanalyzing anybody, but I feel like those comments paired with the fact that the verbiage of indefinite when it came to his evaluation, the fact that we're still about a week and some change away from that evaluation, it just makes me feel like Franz is not. It makes me feel like Franz is not close. And that sucks. It sucks. But I feel like at the same time, we just have to be real. With all that being said, I know this is a little bit of a shorter episode today. Quite frankly, in a very close matchup like this one, and recording this as more of an instant reaction after the game, something I don't do very often. It's kind of a different approach. So you guys let me know if you guys like these quicker hitter type of episodes a little bit better, where they're a little bit more direct as far as reacting to the games, or if you guys like me to, give it a couple of hours, really get nuanced about it, and then the episodes are a little bit longer. You guys let me know what your preferences are down in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts on Anthony Black. Let me know your thoughts on Desmond Bane. Let me know your thoughts on Franz Wagner. I'm interested to hear what everybody has to say in the comment section down below. Until next time, remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that post notification bell so you always know when we're dropping new videos. Shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, Mars Men. And I'll see you guys next time.